This is Marilyn Lohman, Service Hydrologist at WFO Pendleton. I'll be reviewing the mountain snowpack for the current water year and the water supply forecasts for the rest of the spring and summer. This map, produced by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, shows the percent of normal snow water equivalent, or amount of water, being held in the snowpack for the various basins across the state of Washington. February was warm and mainly dry across the region with a very low amount of snow. As of February 1st, the upper and lower Yakima basins were well below normal with 25 to 38% of normal, down from near 35% last month. The Walla Walla Basin, located within the lower Snake Basin in southeast Washington, was at 46% of normal, down from 55% of normal. Next, we'll take a look at a few individual locations within each basin to see how the snowpack is faring. These charts show the snow water equivalent, or water held in the snow, for the water year October through September. The blue line is the maximum observed, with the red line the minimum. Green line is the average. Using these charts, we can see how the snow water equivalent accumulates throughout the winter and spring and compare it to average. The Ridge SNOTEL site is in the Walla Walla Basin, around 5,500 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that this site saw accumulation during the last half of December, but has remained nearly steady throughout the month of January and February, and is well below normal. The saucy Ridge SNOTEL site is located in the upper Yakima Basin at 4,200 feet. Looking at the black line, there were some small increases during the first part of January, but it's been nearly steady throughout February and also is well below normal, almost at the minimum for this location. The Bumping Ridge SNOTEL site is at 4,600 feet in the central Washington Cascades. Looking at the black line, we can see that this site has gotten very little in the way of snow at all this season and is well below normal. Using the snow water equivalent map from the NRCS, as of March 1st, the snowpack was well below normal across the state of Oregon. The Northeast Oregon mountains are ranging from 40 to 50%, down about 10% over last month. The Cascade Mountains, including the Deschutes and Crooked Basins, are well below normal, with amounts from 10 to 20% of normal, down from 20 to 30% of normal at the start of February. We'll take a look at some individual sites across the region in the next several slides. In the lower Deschutes Columbia Basin area, Clear Lake SNOTEL is a very low elevation site at about 3,500 feet. Looking at the black line, the current year observation, this site has gotten little snow so far this year, and with the warm temperatures throughout the last part of January and February, has lost any snowpack it acquired and continues to be snow-free. A higher elevation site from the Cascades, the Mount Hood site, is at 5,400 feet and saw some increasing snowpack in December, but has remained nearly steady throughout the months of January and February, and is near the minimum recorded for this station. In the upper Deschutes Basin, the Three Creek Meadows SNOTEL site is at about 5,600 feet. Looking at the solid black line, we can see that this site had little accumulation of snow during the winter and is slightly below the minimum recorded at this location. For the John Day Basin, we'll look at the Blue Mountain Springs site at 5,900 feet. This location saw a large accumulation of snow in mid to late December, and as of January 1st was near normal. Then through January, there has been little accumulation and even lost accumulation throughout the month of February, and is also near the minimum recorded for this location. For the Umatilla Basin in the Blue Mountains, we can look at the High Ridge site at 4,900 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that this site was increasing through the mid to late part of December, had a small accumulation during January, and has been nearly steady through much of February, with a small increase at the end of the month. In the Grand Ronde Basin, the Moss Springs SNOTEL site at 5,800 feet. Looking at the black line, there were some problems with the data at the very end of December, but ignoring the spikes, we can see an overall increase in snowpack through the mid part of January and continued to slowly increase through February, but remains well below normal. The Northwest River Forecast Center uses Ensemble Streamflow Prediction or ESP generated forecasts as the official water supply method. The 30-year runoff normals covering the years 1981 to 2010 are being used. New ESP forecasts will be published on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at a minimum of once per week, but are generally updated daily at the discretion of the River Forecast Center. For updated forecasts and more information on the ESP forecasts, please see the River Forecast Center's website at the address given. This map is from the Northwest River Forecast Center's webpage and shows some of the water supply forecast points across the Northwest. We can see that there are some locations in northern Idaho and Canada that are forecast to be near normal, but the majority of the region is expected to be below normal. We'll now take a look at a few sites within the Pendleton area of responsibility. For the Yakima River system, we'll look at the Yakima River near Parker. Looking at the plot, the solid green line is the 30-year normal. The plots show the entire range of forecast values with the blue dot the 50th percentile or most likely value. We'll be using that blue dot 50th percentile and comparing it to normal. The forecast takes into account the next 10 days of forecasted precipitation, then expected normal precipitation throughout the rest of the season. The volume forecast for the Yakima River near Parker continues to show a downward trend from around 80% of normal at the beginning of January to near 55% of normal expected now. The Grand Run River at Troy is our next forecast point, and the forecasted volume of water, the blue dot, for this location has decreased significantly with the lack of snow. It is expected to be about 55% of normal as compared to near 90% of normal expected at the beginning of January. This is based on having normal precipitation amounts throughout the rest of the season. For the Umatilla near Pendleton, for the period April through September, the volume forecast has decreased to around 60% of average, down from 75% of average at the beginning of February. This forecast is based on current conditions and normal precipitation throughout the rest of the year. For the site, the Columbia River at the Dalles, we once again see the average plotted in green with the most likely value, the blue dot. The volume for the April through September period has dropped from around 94% of average to 83% of average. These previous seen plots and additional water supply locations are available in an interactive form on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at the address listed on the concluding slide. The 3-month outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for March, April, and May calls for above normal temperatures and equal to slightly increased chances of below normal precipitation. The latest drought monitor continues to show extreme drought for southeast Oregon, with deterioration in conditions along and west of the Cascades. Much of the region remains in moderate to severe drought conditions. For more information on the unseasonably dry and drought conditions, both here in the Northwest and across the country, please visit the National Integrated Drought Information System webpage at the address above. You can view the Drought Monitor, look at current and forecast conditions, as well as impacts from drought, and also find resources relating to drought. Additional water supply forecasts and more interactive forecasts are available at the Northwest River Forecast website. If you have any questions, please contact me by email or phone and join me again in April for another look at the snowpack and a look at the water supply forecast throughout the rest of spring and summer. Thank you.